Junkie in the morning, next time, all kinds of publications, yeah. I get a prescription, get the Wall Street Journal, I read the.
Good evening. I'd like to start right on time at 7 o'clock. I'm Roberta Roden-Killian. I'll be the moderator for this evening's forum. This forum is an educational forum for you to learn about the candidates. It is not for debating. And please, if you have a question, when you're recognized by me, please stand, state your name and your address. Clear? Okay. Before I start, I want to acknowledge Alice Morava, who was the founder of this Voters Forum, and we lost her a couple of weeks ago. So for those of you that don't know, Alice passed, and I want to thank Ruth Ann Morava, who does a lot of behind-the-scenes work for us for the Voters Forum. It makes my job that much easier. So that being said, I want to thank Mary Umans, the president of the Williams Bay Women's Civic League, for leading us and keeping us on track and building membership so that we could meet our mission to improve the quality of life in Williams Bay for youth and families. So now I would also like to tell you, which we didn't know, but we have another candidate who's not sitting up here who is running for the circuit court. So I am going to introduce her, and after I explain the guidelines to the audience, I will have her be our first speaker, even though it's not that way on the agenda because of her position. And I know she has an opponent, and she can tell you about that, Mr. Nalvis. For some reason, we did not invite these candidates. It was an oversight. We so apologize, but we're grateful that you're here. So, that said, I will read the explanation of how this is going to run today. In an effort to be fair to all participants, maintain organization, and complete the forum in a reasonable period of time, approximately 2 hours, the following guidelines and agenda have been developed. The primary purpose of the forum is educational. The voters will have an opportunity to become aware of the issues and the candidate's background and views. The forum is not a debate. The forum is not a debate. The forum is not a debate. I used to be able to say that 3 times. But, the general guidelines. Masking is not required. That's optional for you, but you may be enforced if CDC guidelines change. All who wish to speak must be recognized by the moderator. Candidates will keep their opening comments, introduction to a maximum of 4 minutes. A timer will be present to inform you when your 4 minutes have expired. Our timer this evening is Susie Pagel, and she's sitting right next to Mary Umans. So they're up front here so I can see when the time change comes about. All audience participants must identify themselves when recognized by the moderator. In addition to answering questions directed to him or her, a candidate may also respond to another candidate's remarks after being recognized by the moderator. The audience is asked to refrain from general commentary and ask specific questions to the candidates that directly relate to the position they are seeking. Questions and answers should be kept brief to allow as many questions and answers as possible during the slotted time. Each candidate will be given a maximum of 4 minutes for appropriate remarks and introduction. After all the candidates for that particular position have given their 4-minute introduction, 20 minutes of audience participation, questions and answers will follow. When all candidates' presentations have been made, followed by each 20-minute question and answer period, questions may be directed by the audience to any candidate. Presumably, this will permit additional questions if any 20-minute period expired before all questions were asked. If any group does not use the allotted time, leftover time will not pass to another group. So, those are the general guidelines, and I'd like to begin by inviting Esty Schultz to come up.
You stand in front.
You can stand in front, who's running for Circuit Court Judge in Branch 1, and she does have a candidate that she's running against. So, and it's Mr. No,
Peter Navis.
Peter Davis. I wasn't sure. Okay, good.
Would you like a microphone?
There's a-
Sure, if you think it would be easier.
See how loud this is. Okay. First of all, thank you to the Williams Bay Women's Civic League for hosting this forum. I think it's really important. You see signs all around the county, but you never get a face with a name. So that's why I wanted to come tonight, not knowing if I would be able to speak. But again, I really thank you for this opportunity. A little bit about me. I am a lifetime member of this community. I grew up in Lyons Township. I'm a Badger High School graduate, University of Wisconsin undergrad, and law school graduate as well. So locally educated, came back to serve my community. Started off as a prosecutor, prosecuting violent crimes. Those are drug and gun offenses in Milwaukee County. I brought that experience down here to Walworth County, where I prosecuted general crimes. And I also prosecuted sensitive crimes, meaning juvenile sexual assaults as well. I really enjoyed that work, but my really heart and soul was in child welfare. And by the time I was a prosecutor for 5 years, I was also expecting my third child. So doing a lot of jury trials was a lot of work. So I moved down to Corporation Counsel office, and not a lot of people know what that is, but we do all the non-criminal legal work for the county. And that includes litigation in child welfare cases, the mental health commitments, where somebody's mentally ill and dangerous to themselves or others, and also the guardianship cases, in addition giving general legal advice to all the county departments. One of the biggest projects I've been working on is in the sheriff's office. We're doing an entirely new 911 radio communications project that'll serve the entire community. And we're using part of the American Rescue Plan Act dollars to fund that project. So again, not putting all that pressure on you as taxpayers. I am running for Circuit Court Judge because I enjoy being in the courtroom. I enjoy doing what's right for the community. And I do have the more litigation and appellate experience than my opponent. I do have an opponent. His name is Peter Navis. We've been attorneys for about the same amount of time. But again, I have that jury trial experience that's really important in Walworth County because our judges have a heavy criminal caseload. I have special training in how to take testimony from children on the stand, and I've litigated a lot of constitutional cases as well. So it's really important that when a judge takes the oath of office to uphold and defend the Constitution, they know how to litigate those constitutional issues. So that's me. I'm happy to answer questions towards the end. But again, I thank you so much for your time and being allowed to speak just briefly to this group that really cares about the election, and I appreciate your vote on April 2nd. Thank you.
Okay. The next candidates to speak are Skip Mossamer and Joanne Laufenberg, and they are running for the Walworth County Board of Supervisors, District 7. So I'll invite Skip, and if you would like to use the microphone. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Skip Mosshammer, and I'm running for the Walworth County Board, District 7. First, I'm a 14-year resident, and this is my home. They're going to carry me out of here. I'm a value-based candidate, having learned from my parents the importance of civic service. I believe well-run government is a benefit to the people it represents, and I believe in good old Midwestern values that people should be free to pursue their lives. And when a neighbor has misfortune, we stand up and help. I believe people prefer collaboration to resistance, and the board has demonstrated that language matters and listening wins the day. I believe in the capacity of quality leadership, and I practice it for all of my life. I'm a learner, and during this campaign, here are some things that I've learned. Walworth County is in excellent condition. It is debt-free and the only county in Wisconsin to be so. This is important because debt is a drag on economic vitality and is completely non-productive. Better, the county is projected to be debt-free for at least the next decade. This is one of my values: live within your means. The county has built and remodeled its infrastructure continuously, usually with cash. Another of my values: take care of what you have. The county has an excellent workforce, about 1,000 of our neighbors. They are efficient and knowledgeable, but we have difficulty finding people to fill open positions. 45 of them at last count. Why? The lack of affordable housing, lack of childcare, lack of transportation. Having too few affordable housing options is one of the more serious problems we face, and one of the more difficult to solve. Where will our teachers, police officers, and tradespeople live? All county employee pensions are fully funded, 100%. Reflecting another of my values: meet your obligations. Some areas of concern that I will address: housing, transportation, emergency preparedness, and services for those in need. And one more: hunger. We see hunger in many places in the world, and we have hunger in Walworth County. I will do everything I can to reduce hunger here, especially among children. So here are my values. Civic service is my responsibility. We all need freedom to live our own lives. We must stand up for people who need help. It is necessary to work with others to solve problems. Live within your means. Take care of what you have, and lead. To learn more about my candidacy, go to skipmosshammer.com. There you can read about my decades of board leadership, university teaching, and negotiation skills. If your values are like mine, vote for me on August 2nd. Thank you.
next candidate to be acquainted with is Joanne Rothenberg. And she is currently working for us in Boulder County Board of Supervisors, District 7.
Actually, I liked everything he said, so maybe I can just go home. Is it on? Oh,
There you go.
All right, I'll just start with a little about me in case you didn't meet me last year, but, I've been in southeastern Wisconsin all my life, 9 years here in Walworth County recently in, town of Geneva, and as a kid in Kenosha for 10 years. Been married to my engineer husband for 27 years. I have 3 sons that are 17 to 24, and they're all fully home educated. We have 25 plus years, I have 25 plus years working in children's, youth, and young adult ministries as a volunteer. And I studied professional communications, lighting design, and constitutional law. I helped my parents run their lighting agency, and I helped my husband run his engineering firm. I'm trying to get to page 2. It's not working. So I guess I have to do the rest from memory. But so I helped with payroll and unemployment insurance and health insurance and being profitable and all that. The thing that got me into politics was I was at a homeschool convention, and a guy named Michael Ferris talked to me about, talked to all of us repeatedly about something called Convention of States. And that is an effort to restrain the federal government's, put fiscal restraints on the federal government, power and jurisdiction limits on them, and term limits for federal officials and members of Congress. So I worked all around Wisconsin as a volunteer and in Madison to help get that passed. We worked for like 7 years on that. And I also, that's when I was studying a bunch of constitutional law during that. I don't want to take too long. Nevertheless, so when I heard about a quarantine guard ordinance that was being proposed at the county level during 2020, where they could remove people from their homes and burn their clothing and furniture and hire as many quarantine guards as necessary to remove people from their home, or to find them and make them comply. A lot of us were not too excited about it, showed up. They didn't pass it at the main board meeting, but it did pass out of committee. But this was a sort of a main issue for me. It wasn't narrowly tailored, and it wasn't, they didn't have valid, I can't think of the term, but the compelling interest, right? So it was suspicious how much compelling interest there actually was. Nevertheless, so also because I have a son and a nephew who were pretty severely injured by vaccinations, I have a concern about having those be coerced or required for employment and that kind of thing. And then I did a lot of research on the masking and found out the adverse health situation with that. So I'm working on getting that passed. And if you want, that would be about maybe the only thing different between you and I is I have a bug in my bonnet about that. So I'm going to keep working towards getting that done. But otherwise, it seems like either one of us would be great. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Joanne. Now we'll hear from, well, actually, we have a 20-minute question and answer period now for the candidates that have spoken. So at this point, I would encourage us to move on to the 20-minute question and answer period for the Board of Supervisors in District 7. And we can come back to you if you want to stay. If you don't want to stay, then we'll have you speak first and answer questions.
That sounds like. Sure. Yeah.
Come on up.
Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for Esty Schultz?
Yes, I do. Jim D'Alessandro, 60 Johnson Terrace. We all know that there's a lot of people in our county that can't afford attorneys, they're indigent. And we know that the attorneys don't get paid much. And I'm always been concerned about that. A lot of them, they sit, because they can't afford bail, they sit in jail. And their court hearings and times get delayed because we can't find attorneys. Are you concerned about that? Or if you are, is there anything that you might want to, or you could maybe help solve that problem?
Yes, so that's an excellent question, and you are right. That is a significant problem in Walworth County. A lot of other counties are dealing with it as well. But ever since the pandemic, we have been trying to get back to an actual system that runs efficiently. And it's not anybody's fault that it happened, but attorneys don't want to come to court as often. They don't want to be there in person. You know, we all got used to appearing by phone or appearing by video. There's been more mental health issues causing more people to have criminal behavior, and they end up in the jail rather than getting mental health treatment. But you're right. So there was a significant issue. As a former prosecutor who was trying to raise a family and pay off student loans, it's tough. It's tough. It's unless you find a significant reward in that kind of work, you don't stick with it for very long. And it's the same for public defenders. It's the same for the defense bar that takes public defender appointments. In Walworth County, we also have a list of court-appointed, county-appointed attorneys, where if the public defender's office has a conflict and there's no private bar attorneys willing to take a public defender appointment, the courts can appoint counsel, and those are funded by county dollars. What we've been doing to try to remedy that situation is increase the amount of pay. I spoke actually at the county board meeting when the county board was considering a resolution to be forwarded to the legislature to consider raising the annual salary for assistant district attorneys, so prosecutors, and public defenders. So I'm supportive of both sides of that system because you need all of those pieces of the system to work together. Because we don't need people sitting in the jail when they can do well in the community with some supervision. That's wasted money. That's wasted time that they can't be out working to support their family. And then two, the amount of time that people are sitting on bond waiting for their cases to be resolved, it is an issue because you're more likely to get a bail jumping charge when you're out on bond for 2-3 years. Ideally, we could resolve these cases quicker, but there's been a lot of jury trials demanded. Just in 2023, sorry, I'm going on, but in 2023,
A gentle reminder, 2 minutes.
well, we had double the amount of jury trials, on average double the amount of jury trials that other judges or other counties with 4 judges have. So we do have an issue that I'm hoping to work on, just like I've been trying to work on with raising the salaries, getting more attorneys here, and making this Walworth County a really good place to practice law, because without attorneys, the system doesn't work. I hope that.
Kind of answers it. I mean,
Thank you.
Yep.
We have just 1 minute left, but I'll extend that. If there are any other questions for this candidate.
I happen to have another one. Why not? I didn't expect you to be here. So I know about a decade ago, we invested a lot of time and money in drug courts. And obviously nationwide, we know that a lot of those drug courts, they're very difficult to maintain. What's your position on that? Do you think there's a value to having them? What's going on with them now? And so let's just talk a little about your position on that.
Sure. So Walworth County kind of still has a drug court. The last I heard, there was 2 participants, and they were going to be graduating soon. And then after that, the program was going to end. Okay, my understanding is that without the district attorney's support of the treatment courts, we're not eligible for TAD funding, so grant funding to fund the program. Our OWI treatment court is strong. That we have lots of individuals participating in that program, and it's very successful. I am in favor of treatment courts. I think they're successful. I think every penny spent towards oversight and rehabilitation leads to less recidivism. In 2017, I was a part of the founding members of the family treatment court. So kids in child welfare, when their parents have substance use issues, they can be in our family treatment court program where they get that same oversight, the accountability, more time with the judge. And that has reduced the amount of time that kids are in out-of-home care, or the amount of time that they're waiting for a permanent decision about where they're going to live, whether they're going to be adopted by their foster family, be adopted by a relative, or have a guardianship go through with a relative. It reduced that amount of time by 6 months. And so 6 months, for you and I, it goes by in the blink of an eye. But 6 months in the life of a child is incredibly important. So I am a strong advocate of treatment courts, and I went to law school with the district attorney who's in the office now. I can't make any promises, but I will do what I can to try to get the drug court program back on its feet, because I think it's important, and I think it's also a good investment in community safety.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Next, we'll hear from the Village of Williams Bay trustees. Oh, excuse me.
Questions from supervisors. County supervisors.
Oh, okay, I apologize. Does anybody have questions for the county supervisor candidates? Hello, Ruth Ann.
Sam Marava, 180 Circle Parkway. I'm okay, I have a loud voice. Joanne, you've gotten your feet wet now. Tell us what you feel you've accomplished in your last few years in office and what you're most proud of.
I worked on a lot of things. I tried to get everyone looking at how much anything that we vote on is costing every Walworth County resident. I know it doesn't work that way tax-wise with the different tiers, but nevertheless, if you just sort of look at, this thing is gonna cost the county this much per person because we have 111,000 people. This much for a family of 5. I have a family of 5, so that's how I look at it, right? So I try and look at things that way. I try and ask enough questions. I go through all of the details. Most of the time I go through all of the details and make sure that things make sense. I do some digging to find out if there's, detective work we need to do that's when programs have more to them than what's actually showing up on the page. And I was able to get them to get rid of the vaccine list, the people who had reservations, not reservations. They had just employees who decided not to get vaccinations. I had them get rid of that list just to come to find out that the state has a list anyway. So it didn't really accomplish much. What I accomplished, I don't know, but hopefully I am there, making people think of a second opinion in many areas.
Are there any other questions for this candidate?
Hi, Suzanne Arnold, 361 Forest Drive. Skip, I believe you've worked as the library board president, and I'm just wondering what kind of experiences and challenges and successes you've had that you think you could take to the county board? Because it's a group of people on each side, right, that you have to work with.
Working with the library board has been a great experience for the last 8 or 9 years. The kinds of things that I've learned there are basically a continuation of the other board work that I've done almost all of my life. Somebody asked me how many, do I need that? You can hear me?
I can find it.
Okay. And I have a soft voice, so I have to be careful. Somebody asked me how many boards I've served on and for how long. And I made a list and checked it all out, and it's 61 years of board work. Not all, not all in a row, but sometimes more than 3 at a time.
So you
we're
started
gonna-
when you were 2, I mean, yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Pre-naval service. So serving on the library board was really not so much a new experience, but a culmination of experiences, where I could bring to bear some of the negotiation skills that I've developed over the years, and also the leadership skills. So it's been a lovely experience. I've had a couple of things happen that only the favored have. Got to pick a great director, and we had a building project, and those are 2 of the 3 things that a library president can count on being, feathers in your cap kind of thing. The 3rd one being a referendum, which you can't do. So the library board thing has been very gratifying to me. Is that answering your question? So
A little bit,
ask me again.
good enough.
Okay,
That'll work.
all right, thank you.
Question, right here.
No,
So Jim D'Alessandro again?
Jim, just for a minute.
Okay.
Thank you, but I will call on you again. Is there anybody else who hasn't spoken? Judy?
Judy Johnson, 680 Washington Parkway. I know, Skip, you tell us all the boards that you've been on, and thank you for serving and hoping to serve on Wallway County. And I'd like to ask Joanne, have you been on any boards? And I know Skip said he's being nonpartisan, and I wonder if you are also.
I'm nonpartisan in the way that I make decisions that are best for Walworth County residents. But yes, I am a Republican. I've been a Republican for a long time. I can't really change that. But nevertheless, I like to think of all the citizens of Walworth County when I'm making decisions.
And your service on boards?
Oh, I'm sorry. First, no, I haven't been on any boards. Just this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Trustee Delisandro?
Nope, there's one over there.
Oh, okay, yes.
Hi, my name is Kathy Bartelli. I live on Willow Road in the Como subdivision. And a recent experience I had going to the supervisor meetings, I'm a little concerned with how people vote related to all the federal money and the federal, I can't think of the right word right on it, but anyway, the federal involvement in county decisions. I had one supervisor say to me one time about an issue that came to the board that they made the decision because they were gonna take the federal money, because if they didn't, somebody else would. And that type of decision-making really concerns me. So how would you feel about federal money for the county? If it was a problem for the county, if it was gonna have an adverse effect on the county? So,
Well, when I started watching the national debt, it was, I believe, 7 trillion in debt, and now it's 34 trillion. And I'm also told by people who have been in office in the federal government that we have 120 trillion of unfunded liabilities coming down the pike. So most of my decisions about spending money from federal grants are weighed heavily of whether we really need this. I mean, clearly it's our money too, and it's true, someone else is gonna get it if we don't. I called our state representative's office and asked if we could send some back and insisted it be applied to the national debt, and they said it couldn't, and that it would just go to other counties if it didn't. However, there are some programs, like new ones, that I vote no on. If something seems like, that I have questions about it, I'll vote no. I don't hesitate to vote no. But I do vote yes on some things that seem very important and core programs that are what we should be doing. Hope that's helpful.
You're asking me the same question?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. Let the microphone.
Thanks. If a resolution comes to the board and it doesn't look like it's going to serve the people of the county, it doesn't matter whether there's money attached to it. The money is nice, the money is available, we use it, but it's not going to be the final arbiter of whether the thing passes or not, in my view. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for these candidates? Trustee Delisandro, did you wish to?
Okay. I'm used to being last and everything, so. But, yeah, so question for both of you. So in the last, I would say 8 to 10 years, all the communities in the county here, we've been stressed with our emergency medical services, fire services. I know many years ago, we had a former Brettel, who was running the county, and he tried and attempted to. I think I believe the county should be showing leadership on this. There's been a lack of leadership. I think you've been trying, and I'd like to hear some more about it from both of you. But I know that here in Williams Bay, we've done a really good job, in my opinion, of partnering with Fontana. However, I really think in the future, the next 5-10 years, we really need something more regional in the county. And I believe that it should be the county that should be providing us the forums and the leadership to do it. And I'd like to have your opinion on whether you agree or disagree on that, both of you.
Sure. I agree. As far as I know, and I have to dig more into it, there are 15 separate EMS locations in the county. And there is some movement afoot to integrate them in some significant way. I'm not sure where that's going to go. I know it's going to be a bit of a slog because there are people who just don't want to do it. And you have to be convinced and cudgel along. So my guess is that if I'm on the board, then I would vote yes for something like that, and then work and see how much we can get done.
So we do have a committee meeting, maybe you know this, that's dealing with how do we want to do this, if we want to do it, what would it entail, what do the departments think. I've put out feelers to the public, asking them if they think their response times are inadequate. I've asked if there are any, I've talked to a few, can't remember which ones now because this came up a while ago, people who were running fire and EMS and they were not interested in merging around me, but not for the entire county. I was just focused on my area for the moment. And I wasn't getting a lot of, I wasn't hearing a lot about people wanting this to be a county-wide thing. I certainly think it makes sense to, share resources and whatever you can to save money and make things work better, and which is why the committee is meeting. It's not my area of expertise, but I'm willing to hear more about it, and if I can see that it's something that's necessary, then maybe it is the thing to do. I'm just not, I'm not on that committee. I'm on plenty of other committees. So, if you want me to get more highly educated about it, feel free to send me any opinions or material you have on it. I appreciate it.
I would want to see if it saved lives. The changing the way it works saves lives, then I'm gonna push for it.
Good point.
Do any of the trustees wish to ask any questions of these candidates? We still have a few minutes if there are any other questions.
I do want to be honest, I wasn't all for having the county just take it over and put it into their budget and we handle it all. And I made that clear. At this point, I didn't see that being a wise move.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Now we will hear from the Village of Williams Bay Board of Trustee candidates. And we will start with Trustee Owens at the Amira.
I don't think I need that.
Okay.
I mean, nobody ever complained about me, so.
There we go. I'll leave it here.
Okay, don't press that button just yet. Thank you, Women's Civic League, for hosting this event, and thank you, all of you, for being here. It's been 4 years since you first elected me to the village board. For these 4 years, I have served and currently serve as chair of the Water and Sewer Committee. I also serve on Finance and Personnel, Parks and Lakefront, Zoning Board of Appeals committees, and I represent Williams Bay on the board of directors of the Geneva Lake Environmental Agency. Tonight, I want to update you on the progress we have made during those 4 years on our water and sewer infrastructure. The first thing we did was build a capital improvement phase 1 program, one for water and one for sewer. When that capital improvement plan was in place, we were able to update the 1992 impact fee rates for water, increasing them from $700 to $3,150. This will help us pay for future projects such as a new water tower. Talking about money, we also borrowed in $8.4 million to start paying for the things that we needed to do. So here we go. In 2020 through 2024, we finished the following projects. We repainted the Theater Road water tank. We put new water mains on Elkhorn Road and new 12-inch sewer lines, pipes. We cleaned and repaired the lime reactor. We got the water plant out of the flood zone. We created a water main digital map for the water main breaks. Hundreds of new water meters were installed, numerous sewer railings, and we prepared a lot of holes in sewer pipes. We have several projects starting in 2024 and finishing up hopefully in 2025. And they are a well 2 new pump, a well 3, hopefully a well 3 repair maintenance thing, and then 2 big ones, the chlorination water plant improvements, and a new Harris Road lift station. We hope to finish that up in 2025. And then on the capital improvement plan, what is left for future projects is new water mains on Log Vista, about 67 east-west, new water mains, and also some new sewer linings, pipes, a new water tower eventually, and we need to expand the water plant. And then on the sewer side, we have 7 lift stations that all need some sort of a repair, some of them major. Talking about, I want to talk a little bit about financing because I think this is good news that I need to share. Pending village board approval on Monday, April the 1st, to advise the DNR that we want to go ahead with 2 loans. I'm happy to tell you that we were approved for a safe water loan of $3.4 million. This loan has an $860,000 principal forgiveness that we don't have to pay back. And we applied for it specifically to pay for the chlorination water plant improvement job. And on the sewer side, we have applied for a $1.5 million loan to help pay for the Harris Road lift station. Both loans have a reduced market rate of 55%, or right now approximately 2.5% interest rate. If approved by the village board, we will advise the DNR to that effect before April 8th. We then wait for the DNR confirmation letter with precise details about the loan,
And then I will ask the Water and Sewer, Finance and Personnel Committees to recommend village board approval for both loans. In closing, I want to say thank you for electing me twice. I hope to serve at least another 10 times, probably more. And I want you to know that I really appreciate your encouragement and support. I know this was a lot of information, so if you please ask me in 4 minutes, so please ask me questions later if you want to know more about individual projects. Thank you.
Thank you.
4 minutes.
Let's hear from our trustee Lowell Wright.
Thank you, Roberta, and thank you, the Women's Civic League, and all of you here this evening, as well as the Village of Williams Bay at large. As introduced, I'm Lowell Wright, a candidate for village trustee here in Williams Bay. You know, I'm honored by the trust that Williams Bay residents have placed in me to serve as village trustee for the past 4 years. I seek your vote this April for another term. My reason for seeking office is best, I think, explained by the word serve. You know, I view my role as one who helps the village government make decisions that best serve our community. As part of serving on the village board, I've been chair of the Finance and Personnel Committee. I'm the person that has to find all the money for Rob's projects. And also serve on the Parks and Lakefront Committee, the Building, Zoning, and Ordinances Committee, and I'm also a member of the Williams Bay Plan Commission. Some personal information about myself. I'm married to Ruth, my wife of 43 years. We have 4 children and 8 grandchildren scattered all over the country and sometimes other countries as well. It's hard to keep track of where they are. Our family has owned property here in the Bay for nearly 80 years. Ruth and I have lived here seasonally for over 40 years and full-time for the past 9 years. All that gives me a good sense of what living here means and some of the values that come with that. As a member of the Delavan Christian Reformed Church, I strive for my faith to be reflected in who I am and how I act. And finally, I strive to be involved in our community. I'm a member of the Williams Bay Lions Club. I volunteer at the Open Arms Free Clinic, at the Spirit of Hope Homeless Shelter, and Meals on Wheels. And I also serve on the board of the Walworth County Aging and Disability Resource Center. You know, Williams Bay continues to be served well by its engaged and educated residents. It has many active, vibrant organizations, such as the Women's Civic League, which work to preserve our beautiful lake, the KNC, our parks, schools, and businesses, are the foundations of what constitutes quality of life for us. During my last term, our local government made several changes to maintain the character and attributes of our community. We implemented a plan to provide timely and professional EMS services, thanks to the support of you, the voters. This partnership for EMS with Fontana is working well. We've seen, to Rob's point, we've seen reconstruction of Highway 67 and all of its infrastructure. But more visibly, some of the things we've worked on is a new dog park opened, a new tennis and pickleball courts will open this spring. We updated the playgrounds in 2 parks. We replaced timbers along the lakefront walk and several other significant projects. You know, I asked myself, as Skip mentioned earlier, I asked myself what I've learned from this experience. And I come up with 2 things. First, participating effectively in government's not easy. And secondly, government's not quick. Everything takes longer than you thought it might be because there's many moving parts that must be balanced. But you know, it's doable by ordinary people like me who are willing to listen, lead, be persistent when it's important, be patient, and finally make a decision. You know, there will be situations that challenge the balance between growth and the attributes of this village we like. I'm confident that our processes and citizen input and experienced staff and developers will continue to enhance our village attractiveness. And my obligation as a trustee is to work with others to provide tangible efforts and tangible actions to preserve and protect our village. You know, bottom line, I believe I have the time, energy, skills, and experience to listen and to lead. And I want to maintain what we like about the Bay and find affordable solutions to things we'd like to change. I'll be honored by your vote on April the 2nd. I welcome your input at any time. But please see my Facebook page, Lowell Wright for Williams Bay Trustee 2024, for further information and for my contact information. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate is Adam Jaramillo, and Adam, take it away.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Roberta. Thank you also to the Women's Civic League for hosting this. Thank you for everyone for coming. and participating in democracy. It's not always pretty and it's not always fun, but it is always important. My name is Adam Jaramillo. I've served as trustee here for 2 years already now, and I'm running for a second term. I want to thank everyone for voting for me the first time. It was a write-in campaign, and somehow over 140 people in the community learned to spell my last name and spelled it correctly. If they hadn't, those votes would have been crossed out, and that 6-vote margin would have disappeared. So I guess I must have been doing a decent job because there's no opposition to us. So all about me. I'm from Williams Bay. I grew up here, attended school at Williams Bay School from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. I graduated valedictorian. I was captain of the math team. We were champions all 4 years. Played football all 4 years. Co-captain my senior year. We were not champions any of those 4 years. But we had fun playing, you know. And after graduating, I attended the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, where I studied economics and nuclear engineering. Passed a lot of very hard courses. I did not get a degree. I don't want to try to trick anybody there. I left without about a semester left. So looking to rectify that. I'm a transfer student at UW Whitewater right now, so hoping to finish here. I think the 3 things that I guess best describe me is smart. Already kind of covered that. Loyal. I met my wife in 2008, and we've been together ever since. Kids. I have a great relationship with my siblings and my mom. And I'm loyal to this community. When I finally had the opportunity to live where I wanted to live, I immediately moved right back here and got to send my kids to the same school that I went to. My kids are about to turn 6 and 4 and attend kindergarten and pre-K here. And the third thing I would like to describe myself as I'm a mediator. I've just always kind of been in the middle. I'm a mixed race. I'm a middle child. I grew up poor, but now I'm well off, and I sort of have my feet in both worlds because when you grow up poor and you do make it, your family members are still poor. So you have to keep your feet in both worlds. I also consider myself a centrist, where I disagree with a lot of stuff on both sides, and I agree with several things on both sides. Well, this job, one of the reasons I also really wanted is I like doing it. I like the people I work with. I like the stuff we do. I've been chair of the Building, Zoning, and Ordinance Committee for the 2 years I've been. I've served on Protective Services and Water and Sewer with Rob. But as you can tell, Rob kind of has all of that under control. But I'm trying to really be a mentee so someone can take it up if they need to. I've also, for the last year, served on the library board with Skip, and well, about half the people here. So. And as part of the community, I'm also an active member of the Lions Club. I shucked my first corn 3 years ago when I first joined, and this last corn and broad I shucked over 1,000 ears. I was counting, so I was one of the champs. I plan on living here for at least 20 years. I want my kids to finish school here, and I want this community to grow with them and just be good. I didn't join to make big changes. I joined to stop bad things from happening. Basically, I kind of jumped into politics as defense. 2020 was a weird election. And I guess I'm just kind of the guy that stands up and just says what he's thinking, and that sometimes the emperor is not wearing clothes. And I want to just be the person that is asking the question with a certain perspective for everyone. So thank you. Did I go over? I'm sorry about that. All right.
I had a little extra time because I gave time at the beginning, so I have that discretion.
Okay.
But what I like to do is be fair about it, so if you go over, then the next one will go over.
Okay. I've learned a lot on the job, and I want to continue learning and doing what I can for this community. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have questions and answers from our trustees that are seeking re-election. And each candidate. This is a 20-minute question and answer period. So let's begin. Are there any questions for any of the candidates? Susie?
Susie Pagel, 91 Potawatomi. Do we have a timeline for the repair of the Southwood Creek Bridge down by the lake?
The, you want me to answer?
Go ahead.
The, to save money, Public Works is gonna build the bridge. They have all the materials. The work will start on April 1st, and it's supposed to last a week. And the bridge is supposed to be ready right at that time. But I know they haven't started it yet, but they will soon, hopefully.
They'll have a ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
We could end. Not only will the bridge be replaced, but we'll be dredging the creek.
Yeah.
Underneath. That's why the bridge has to come out so we can dredge the creek.
And the new bridge will look similar to the one that is there now, that was built by Sparky Lundberg, except because of the insurance requirements, it will have like metal wiring in between because the gaps are too big in between.
Which is good because my kids have almost gone off of it before.
Yeah.
As kids will, or kids are wont to do.
Are there any other questions for the candidates?
Can I stay here?
Emily?
I could stand up if that's important, but obviously there's a lot of really exciting things happening in Williams Bay with the development of the Women's Leadership Center, the change in ownership and of George Williams. These are really exciting things. And what is your vision for the people who live here year round? What is your vision for the access that we might have to some of those really incredible experiences inside of our 2x2 town?
Well, I'll take a first crack at that, Emily. Good question. Since I serve on the Plan Commission, I have twice the opportunities to hear about some of these projects. And, I think that's, access is one of the subjects that's often asked about those projects. And encouragingly, the potential buyer of the George Williams College property has committed, at least so far, to dedicating the former golf course land to conservancy land. And one of the things we're working with them on is what does that mean? Does that mean trails? Does that mean restrooms? Does that mean parking? That needs to go with all those things to make it accessible. But that project has a long ways to go, and many meetings and many hearings to go yet, and many opportunities for public input. So I'd encourage the public to participate in those meetings. But certainly maintaining public access along the lakefront is obviously vital, and we'll continue to work on that.
Cool.
Some of this new stuff, a lot of it is concentrated. They got Yerkes, you have the Women's Leadership Center, you have the George Williams campus, all of those right there on Constance. I know one thing that we just did with the negotiation is we did hold on to that easement for a pedestrian path on Constance. And that is also signifying that we're not going to, I know Trustee D'Alessandro is passionate about this, we're not going to let them try to turn that into a private road down in the future. We want to leave that open to the public, have lake access, bike path, maybe even possible with that easement. So we're planning on keeping that open for the public.
Well, I have said it before, I'm saying it again, these are exciting times for Williams Bay. I mean, I cannot believe it that we are such a small community and we got so much going on. It is just spectacular. So besides the Women's Leadership Center and the preserve that they might go in there if that goes forward, we also have we expect that the developer will come to the Planning Commission meeting pretty soon for the development of Geneva Street and of 50. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and besides all the new houses being built. And so, but I think basically I've been thinking about that. As long as we can keep our identity and not change the inner village and what we're all about, and as long as those developments are on the outskirts, is what most municipalities actually try to strive for. As long as they're on the outskirts, then I think we need Bill White. They need new kids in the school. Quite frankly, I need the impact fees for the water rates. I couldn't resist not to say that. And so that I view that as a good thing. If it's slow growth and control. I don't know if you guys all know this, but obviously Yerkes made some projections about all the visitors that are coming to Yerkes, and it's a spectacular number. They toned it down, but they said they still think that in the next 5 years, it's the number that the toned down number was 70,000 visitors to Yerkes. That is spectacular. And what happens is it's a normal thing that then will happen is when there's money to be made, companies are going to come to the village and going to say, now I want to put a microbrewery somewhere. I want to do this because they can make money, because they see there's a lot of people that need to stay somewhere, eat somewhere, all that kind of stuff. So this is what I call exciting times. And we have to be careful, and we are, and be conservative in our approach and make sure that we don't change the inner makeups of the village.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the trustees? Yes, go.
I'm Rita Kowarski, 556 Walnut. I don't know who would answer this, but I've gone to so many of the meetings and they talk about the buildings in either the Women's Center or Yerkes, et cetera. And they talk about these big trucks that are gonna be coming down, bringing all the supplies, the cement, et cetera. And I worry about our roads. Does anybody look and kind of say, geez, they're gonna be zooming down 50, they're gonna be, tearing things up. Who's gonna take care of that when they're done?
Well, let me take a first part of that, and certainly Adam could and Rob can add to it. But it's one of the questions we ask the developers is what their construction plans are and the construction traffic and timing and weight and those kinds of things as in order to protect the roads. And the Constance Boulevard is probably going to need to be redone anyway, but certainly we don't want it damaged any more than it needs to be by heavy construction work. So, good question, and one that we don't necessarily have the answer to, except we ask the developers what their plans are and then work with them to try to mitigate any damage.
I was going to mostly say the same thing. During negotiations, Lowell was on the negotiation team. When they submitted, these are the anticipated costs to the village, whether it's more police service, fire protection, road damage. So it was brought up in negotiations. I know that. And we will watch with bated breath, and we'll keep on top of the Streets and Highway Committee.
We kind of know that, like Lowell said, Constance Boulevard is not in good shape to begin with. And then we have Ravinia Road. I don't know, you know where that is. That's not in good shape either. We kind of patched that up a little bit. With all that heavy construction, but I've contacted the preserve as part of the negotiation that started for repairs to be made with that there, and they will participate in that hopefully, because we will have to do some sizable repairs. Also, all those roads need to be made wider. And so there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen before that preserve gets all agreed to.
So the construction company have an obligation more or less to take care of that too? Maybe.
Well, I would say if you don't ask for it, if you don't put it on the list, then maybe they don't bring it up. So I don't think they have an obligation necessarily.
Are there any other questions for our trustee candidates? Susie? State your name and address.
Susie Arnold, 361 Forest Drive. Not so much of a question. Maybe I'm a little remiss as a citizen, but I want you to know I almost went out and bought a new dishwasher until my neighbor said, I found on the website down in the little corner, there's something about a water softener. And all of our dishes are all full of film too. Just maybe for the future, it could be communicated a little bolder before I go buy a dishwasher because my glasses are all filmy. Just a note.
It kind of depended where you were in the village also. I don't know, where do you live?
Liquid Trails.
Okay. Because in some sections where everybody goes out, we did this in the winter months, obviously. So if there's not a whole lot of people living there, and the water is stagnant in the water mains, that doesn't help the situation. Like I live on Morgan Drive and we had no trouble. And a lot of people in our subdivision did not have any trouble. But nobody, we're all home, most of them are home. There's a lot of water users.
Yeah, just
while
for
we went through that
for the
process.
record, we don't have a lot of snowbirds in our neighborhood either.
Yeah,
And our neighbors had it and they said there was some change in the water softener.
yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. If
That wasn't-
people aren't around, the water becomes
It
stagnant,
was
but
because we took the lime out for, the lime reactor was finished and then there was no lime in the water to make it softer.
yeah, that.
Right, exactly.
In our house, we invested in vinegar to spray.
Hopefully we won't have to do that for 20 years, but make a note of it.
It's better now.
Yeah,
It
oh,
is.
yeah,
It's
Pretty
fixed.
good.
It's been fixed now.
yeah, it's all fixed.
Thank you.
Can we ask for, no, let's say it.
I think we're gonna send a letter next time. In
Yeah,
20
thank
years,
you.
we'll do it again.
Yeah.
That would be helpful because we thought our new dishwasher was not working properly and all of our dinnerware and everything got ruined. And it doesn't come back, even when you
You
fix
vinegar.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you use vinegar in the bowl.
No, it doesn't.
Good.
But anyway, but thanks for helping with our water systems. And are there any other questions for these candidates? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next part, which is going to be a letter that I will read to you from Ed Nichols, who couldn't be here. He is running for the Williams Bay School Board of Education. My name is Ed Nichols, and I'm running for the Williams Bay School Board on Tuesday, April 2nd. I regret that I cannot be here in person. However, unavoidable travel for work has prevented me from being here. I want to thank the Williams Bay Women's Civic League for hosting the Voters Forum this evening and for providing me the opportunity to participate. 3 years ago, I stood before you virtually as we were in the throes of the COVID pandemic and asked for your vote to allow me to serve on the Williams Bay School District Board of Education. My commitment then, and remains now, to represent the citizens of the village of Williams Bay regarding the decisions and operation of our school district. I also commit to ensure our school district is working towards the goals of its strategic plan, ensuring a positive learning climate and school culture to promote continuous student growth and achievement in the Williams Bay school community, developing a systematic process to attract, train, and retain high-quality staff. 3, managing facilities and resources in a responsible, efficient, and effective manner, and fostering community partnerships to benefit the overall development of the school community. This year, the school district is asking for your help, and I am as well. As a member of the board responsible to all of you, I can tell you that the district has done an incredible job of managing its facilities and resources in a responsible, efficient, effective, and fiscally responsible manner. However, the state funding formula for our school, all of our schools in Wisconsin, is not sufficient. As a result, the district is going to referendum asking for a 3-year non-binding commitment by our community, asking no more than absolutely necessary to ensure the school district can continue to ensure a positive learning climate, ensure a school culture promoting continuous student growth and achievement, maintain the class sizes we have come to appreciate as a strength of our school, and attract, train, and retain the quality staff that we all want for our children. I am honored that you have entrusted me to represent you and the interests of the village on the Williams Bay School District's Board of Education, and I ask for your support in continuing to represent you on the board by voting for me on Tuesday, April 2nd.
Go ahead. Someone once.
Thank you. Since we don't have our candidates here, the next thing we will move to is a presentation on the proposed referendum, which follows Mr. Nichols' comments. Dr. White.
Dr. Bill White, Superintendent of the School District. Before we start, I would like to say thank you to the Civic League for having us tonight. I'd also like to say thank you to all the organizations who allowed us to present to them. We presented to the Civic League at their meeting, Historical Society, Lioness, Lions, Fire Department, all the towns and village town meetings. And again, hats off to the Williams Bay School Committee for just being really receptive to the information we're providing and we'll provide tonight. Having been in other communities and seen what's happened in other school districts, it hasn't always been so pleasant. And here, everybody is really looking to gather information and be informed and be really supportive and kind to us, and we really appreciate that. So thank you. Again, I'm Bill White, and with me is
Jennifer Frederick, I'm the business manager of the school district.
Go ahead.
Sure. So on April 2nd, we're asking the Williams Bay School District community, which is 5 municipalities. It's the village of Williams Bay, town of Delavan, town of Lynn, town of Geneva, and town of Walworth. We're asking you to support allowing the district to exceed our state imposed revenue limit by 1.25 million, 1.5 million, and 1.75 million over the next 3 years. As Mr. Nichols said, who's not here, that this is a 3-year Band-Aid. It will fall off after those 3 years. The key takeaways here are that this will not increase taxes, so the school district portion of the tax bill. We do still project the mill rate will drop even with a successful referendum. The main reason of this is we're seeing growth in the community, so more taxpayers coming on board to pay the levy, but also we're asking for the same levy amount that we've received in the last 4 years. So this 1.25 to 1.75 million is not additional spending, it's not additional dollars to the district. How the funding formula is created from the state is they tell us how much we can levy from taxpayers each and every year, and we levy that maximum amount every year. That funding formula is based off of how many school-age children live in the district and that attend a public school, regardless if they attend Williams Bay schools or not. We've seen about 200 less school-age children living in our community over the last 4 years. That's filtering through the funding formula along with the per pupil dollar amount set by the state also being frozen for the last 2 years and failing to keep up with inflation. So those two items of the funding formula require that we drop our levy next year by that one, it's actually 5 million. So we're just asking taxpayers to keep us funded at the same level that we have been, not for additional money, but to just not let that drop occur. As such, the mill rate will still drop. Like I said, we're just asking taxpayers to give up some of that tax relief. They'll still see about a $50 per 100,000 of home value savings by year 3, even with a successful referendum.
Again, Skip talked about living within your means. Certainly the district has tried to live within its means during a period of really high inflation, as we've all experienced as individuals and businesses. We've also seen a really competitive job market in which increases for for the cost of employing a person. The district has reduced its about 9 certified teachers since 2021. We're already planning about $250,000 in reductions. So we are reducing some staffing to correlate to that decline in enrollment. But again, with a drop in about $1.5 million from what the state's allowing us to tax, just can't sustain that. So ultimately why the referendum is there. What happens if the referendum doesn't pass? Again, we're going to reducing our budget by another $1.25 million. So it'll be a total of $1.5 million in reductions for next year's budget. or we'll be dipping into fund balance and trying to figure out how to make those ends meet during the next year. The biggest part of the budget, what it's going to do if it doesn't pass, one, it's protecting those class sizes and keeping that really personalized learning instruction for kids and maintaining that really safe environment, giving kids access to a high quality curriculum, giving our kids access to lots of different coursework. We want our kids in Williams Bay to get access to any course they could at a bigger high school. And they pretty much do have access to all those learning opportunities. They also have tremendous access to co-curricular programs and things to just help them be a well-rounded student. Also, the second part of the referendum is really to protect our staff, track and retain, as Mr. Nichols mentioned in his letter. We are the lowest paying K-12 district in Walworth County. We start a new teacher off at $42,000 when the livable wage for a single person in Wisconsin is $53,000. We have undercompensated our employees the last few years in comparison to inflation. 2 years ago, it was 4.8. We gave a 4% raise. Last year, inflation was 8%. We gave a 4% raise. So we are lagging behind. So we are seeing losing some teachers. This community, as we talked about the really rich things that are coming, has been built on a lot of different things. The community, the school district has been a big part of that. We've seen teachers come and stay in this community for years and be a part of just helping the community grow, the kids grow, knowing the families. And you can name those people, many of you know them, like Darla Thiel and Deb Saplanda and Toby Spots and those kinds of people. We're not seeing that anymore. Our average experience for teachers has dropped from 14 years to 9 years in about a 4-year period. And we're going to see another big drop as we're seeing a really tremendous group of people retire this year. We have to really do something with our budget and maintain this budget around $10 million in order to integrate things we do for kids. Try to stay within that 4 minutes.
I just want to note we're not alone. You'll probably see referendum signs both in Lake Geneva and Village of Walworth right now too, but we're joining 69 other school districts across the state. That's just in February and April, and about almost 200 over the last 2 years. This is not a Williams Bay issue. It's not a Lake Geneva area issue, even though we're hit harder because of high property value. But it really is a funding formula issue that we've been told should be solved at the local level.
We have met with our local legislators like Tyler August and Steve Mass. They feel like school districts are locally controlled. The state level has tried to give money back more to the taxpayers. They expect school districts to go to the taxpayer and ask for that funding because they will expect the local taxpayer to make that decision. And henceforth, why schools are going to referendums and referendums.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dr. White and his manager, Mr. Killian?
Jim Killian, 91 Potawatomi, Williams Bay. Dr. White, if it would be helpful maybe if you could share with us a little bit about the root cause of the 200 student enrollment decline, which is not just here, it's widespread, but maybe you could help us out understand that.
Yeah. Root cause one, I think this on a national scale, you're seeing less people have less children. People are waiting later in life to have children. So you see declining birth rates and those things nationally. In which reflected that around the Lake Geneva area, we've seen some of the greatest enrollment drops in percentage-wise across the state. Certainly in Williams Bay and as a school district, housing prices have greatly escalated. So it is very, very difficult to buy a home in this area for a young professional, particularly a fireman, a policeman, a school district employee. So that's just the nature of it. As we've seen beautiful growth in our community, we see the great things that are happening. Again, as those homes sell, the competition is great, and you're seeing a lot of people without children, a lot of retirees buying those homes. And again, it's what's up makes this community special, but again, this diminishes the amount of kids we have.
But just again to clarify, our funding is based off of the membership school-aged children living in the district. So the 200 decline is not in our doors, it's in the community.
Some people speculate that part of your enrollment is that kids are going to other school districts. Whether they go to live in Williams Bay and go to another district, we still count those kids. I also be really clear, we do bring in a lot more kids through the open enrollment process than we lose. And certainly we count on bringing those kids to fill those spots that have not been filled by in-district kids. We bring in about $1 million a year for open enrollment. So the district has done a really guys know that. Really have done a job of the future. We talk a little bit about, we do the full presentation that where they have the most well-rounded students in Walworth County, if not the state. Our kids go to MIT, they go to Cornell, Yale, 20% go to Madison every year. We're also beginning to really prepare those kids to go right into the workforce. We're seeing kids now do apprenticeships in industry. They're working in construction, they're working in HVAC. So we're seeing our kids really get out there and get those gateway credits and be really able to go into the trades and make a contribution quickly as well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Did you have one, Mrs. Murphy?
I did, I may have missed it. What percentage of the total budget is this 1.25 to 175?
So we've used $1 levy and it'll be dropping 1.5, so.
What percentage, I don't know. But our local taxes make about, what, 7% of our budget?
72% of our budget is from local taxes.
Is this a state of Wisconsin or other states having similar issues?
You know, each state is funded differently and how schools are supported by their states are different. But I think you see funding issues for school districts across the country. Wisconsin's very unique in the sense that referendums is a very prevalent piece of it. And how our state legislature has chosen to fund schools is much different than some of the other states that we see. Hence, for like you see in Illinois, their taxes are just, and their schools really aren't struggling as much to go to referendum, those kinds of things. But we don't want that. We don't want that. Again, we live within our means. We try to be very fiscally responsible. We've been making cuts. That's why we're trying to stay right on that 10 million. We recognize that this is a burden on our taxpayer to maintain those taxes. That's what we try to keep it from going up. We're in this together. The school district is part of the community. It belongs to you. And, you know, we serve the community through lots of different things, through the fitness center, holding meetings. People access the school for lots of different things that aren't just students. So we're a part of the community.
The microphone.
Were you able to hear? Okay, that's good.
We belong to you.
So, are there any questions for Dr. White and Mrs. Manager?
Roberta, if I can, I'd just like to add to Bill's comments about, Dr. White's comments about being part of the community. Speaking for the village and I think for the library as well, we have great partnerships with the school district in terms of events and staff participation. And I don't think there's an event that goes on in the village that is the joint venture of the village, the library, and the school district. So we appreciate that.
Are there any other
So
questions?
this is just kind of a general question because I was in the area. But is enrollment down, like from 20 to 24?
Our enrollment is down for that in-district formula. We're down in district formula, like Jennifer said, about 180 to 200 kids that used to be in our district as far as the full-time FTE. Because our general enrollment, we're down about 80 kids total when it comes between the open enrollment and leaving. So our enrollment's staying the same, but that funding formula is what's causing that drop. Resident of Williams Bay, school-age children that live in Williams public school, that number has dropped, but our overall enrollment has dropped a lot less. That makes sense?
Are there any other questions for Dr. White?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we have the final 20 minutes allowed for questions to any candidate, and candidates could ask each other questions as well. That's the,
I guess I'm kind of following off of what Dr. White was saying and talking to our village trustees. We don't have affordable housing here to bring these young families in. How are we going to do? How can we stop being so elite and exclusive that we can't afford to bring in young families in here?
It's a good question, Ruth Ann. I think, one, it's not something the village can wave a magic wand and fix. We don't build houses, we don't finance houses. But what we did, for example, we just redid our comprehensive plan. We have to do it every 10 years. And a major portion of the comprehensive plan was some recommendations for at least laying the groundwork for what could be more affordable housing, smaller lots, smaller setbacks, still with architectural standards, but an opportunity for a developer to come in and say, I'd like to build one of those, that would meet the guidelines of our comprehensive plan, but could be more affordable. But other than that, I'm not sure how.
Can we make it more attractive to these developers that will bring in affordable housing? How do we make it more attractive?
I'll tell you, one thing we're actually starting to not do that. We're doing the opposite. We're trying to make it attractive for people to, we were talking about the George Williams campus and this conservative land golf course. We changed that in the comprehensive plan that he's talking about, the master plan. We updated that to mixed use, some medium density, some single use, and now there's already talks. Now there's developers interested in turning that into a preserve that won't ever have development, ever have houses or families on it, and will probably get a good tax break. And now we're talking about opening up the master plan and rezoning that and changing it back to something else. We had 6 units that could have been 6 apartments that we voted to make all short-term rentals. I voted no. I was the only one that voted no for that. I just think that we're taking the problem seriously, and it would be nice. We have another development going in by Willow Bay that we're talking about, and at the last meeting, all of a sudden we started throwing up, are we gonna have sidewalks there or not? Now that is gonna potentially slow and scare the developers away for another year or two. So from my observations, the guy that says what I see, no, I think this board is working in the opposite direction of getting housing here. We're working to block it. Not me, but the board as a whole.
Has anyone attended?
Go ahead.
Okay. Has anyone from the board attended the county meetings that have been put together with the CETA to try and help attract developers, help municipalities make some developer-friendly rules and regulations? Is any of that going on, or?
I've attended those meetings, and again, I think the county as a whole struggles with how to create housing that is conducive for young professionals. I'm not going to say low-income housing, but for young professionals. And this county is really struggling with that. There are lots of ideas out there, but nobody's really hit it yet. So I guess to some extent, going off of Ruth question, what's the county's plan to continue to try to develop affordable housing for young professionals? So we do have policemen, firemen, teachers living in our county, because we're having a hard time recruiting teachers when they're traveling from Dane, Waukesha County, and they're passing hundreds of districts.
So there are a number of things that the county is working on. One is having these meetings with developers, with municipalities, with any interested parties who are wanting this to occur. They're having, brainstorming sessions. We hired someone to help connect developers with properties that might be helpful and help, make this happen. They're trying to massage the process where, maybe the other board members can help me, because I don't have all of the details down, but, we got ideas about how difficult it is for developers to actually find information regarding what the requirements are in the various municipalities, because they're all so different, and it ends up taking a lot of time just searching on the websites for that information. So it would be nice if municipalities would just make it very simple, easy to understand. I can't even remember. Do you guys have anything else to add to that? They came up with cottage housing plans where the homes would be closer together, but yet sharing sort of some shared space so that it doesn't look as dense as, really small lots with bigger homes on it. It's a thing. We have a guy who was wanting to create like a church, small house situation where, you know, those tiny homes, so that young people can start owning something right away as opposed to renting. He's looking for who wants to help with this. He's been making a bunch of headway with, citizens around the county. I should say, it's working on it. I don't think anyone wants us to use their tax funds to go and present free housing, but yet we're trying to make it easy for developers to create this housing. So hopefully we're getting somewhere. Feel free to attend these meetings, contact Waseda, and if you have any information that would help, you know, people find each other and work together, we would love that.
Yeah, I want to say thanks. Supervisor did invite me to the one in September, so I didn't go. I should have. I'm not going to miss another
It's
one.
hard to be at every.
I'm not going to miss another one. Thank you.
Yes?
Kathy Bartelli again from Town of Geneva. I think one of the things that isn't brought up enough about the housing issue is the level of vacation rentals. Because the Town of Geneva, for example, we are becoming inundated, and it's also pushed up our housing values way past what they should be. And you want to talk about the fact that that causes less long-term rentals. Everybody wants to make all this money. I'm personally surrounded by 5 vacation rentals where I am. And I've heard that many times. And it seems like there's not a path to change how this is done in our communities. I've talked to the legislature, and what they've told me is that can't do anything about what's done in the home, which I find, considering there's ordinances for everything else under the sun, why we can't stop the level of increase of vacation rentals in our communities. Because actually that probably hurts the schools probably more than anything in the last few years.
I would like to see,
I'm BZO.
Oh, you want to do it first?
I'm building, zoning, and ordinance chair. We did adjust our ordinance about short-term rentals, but the real problem here is that our hands are tied by state law. The state legislature passed what's called right to rent, and well, long story short, the way that you want us to try to regulate them, we can't, and that's the answer. Airbnb or Verbo, the short-term rental companies, they lobbied some money into this, and it passed. It was during budget reconciliation, so it was sort of like it just got in, and that's it. So you have to talk to your legislature about that.
Well, maybe all the municipalities should start lobbying for this to get changed, because it's hurting the municipalities.
Oh, you don't work in government. Yeah, we talked to the legislature. We talked to the legislature. Dr. White talked about how we talked. They don't. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Rob. Go ahead.
Actually, there are 3 groups of this. So you have short-term rentals, which are from 6 to 29 days. And then you get from 29 days and more, and that's long-term rentals. And all you need is a state permit. We don't have any say in those. Then below less than 6 days, we call that tourist rooming houses. And we actually did limit the licenses on that, and we took the permits. We cannot have it in residential areas anymore. So we took care of all of that. So there's actually a waiting list for it. So that's all we are able to do as far as that is concerned. But as far as the short-term rentals, there are several lawsuits in Lake Geneva. You are lawsuit going on with the state and trying to reverse them so they have control.
Susie? I believe Joanne had 4 minutes to speak about whatever the most recent topic was. I think we need to hear Skip, give him 4 minutes to speak also on the same topic to even this out.
So, ask me the question.
Well, I think
The question really was about how, what can be done at the county level to have housing that is affordable for young professionals.
So I really don't know very much at this point how we can do anything with housing. It's a zoning issue, I think, at least in part. Other than that, I don't see any way that the county can buy land and, repurpose it or something like that. I don't know what the restrictions might be on that. So
Thank you.
that's one of the first things I'm gonna look at is housing, right after Hubbard.
I just thought of
Oh, well,
something.
now we're even now. Now everyone's, you have 4 minutes.
You know,
left.
it's not a debate, he doesn't have to have a rebuttal.
All right, I will call on Judy next, because she had her hand up before, and then we'll come over here, and then Mr. Killian over here.
This is related to housing. Some time ago, I heard Williams Bay does not have water for a new subdivision. Is that true?
Water for you mean the new subdivision that still needs to be approved on Geneva Street?
No, I just mean if a contractor comes in and he says, I want to build a new subdivision.
Yeah.
I want to put several, maybe smaller homes on smaller lots. Do we have water for a new development?
Yes, we do have tons of water and the aquifers available, but the problem with when you hear that is we can pump 1,000 gallons per minute or 960,000 gallons per day. That is in 16 hours. There's a state limit. You cannot pump more than 16 hours in a day. So it's not like there's no water. We need to increase the capacity to get more water. Now, normally in the non-seasonal months, we don't have any trouble because we don't pump more than 4 hours. The water plant only works 4 hours a day. But if it's the 4th of July and everybody is fixing water and whatever in the village, then we are getting close to the 960, the 16-hour pumping limit that we can pump. So in other words, like the new subdivision that is going in, well, hopefully if it gets approved, goes forward, gets approved, goes to the whole rhythm. The 42 homes on Geneva Street and 50, we calculate it would take the water plant 10 minutes to supply the water, an extra 10 minutes a day of operating time. So if there's somebody else comes forward with another subdivision, somewhere, somehow, first of all, it would take years for that all to be in place, and we will have the water plant. We're trying to get the water plant so we can pump 430 gallons per minute more for another 8,000 residents, then we would be set for the next 30 years. Because we probably get about 600 to 800 new residents every 10 years in Williamsburg.
So I know the water is available down under the
Yeah, the
ground,
water is available, right.
but we don't, at present, do we have the pumping capability or we need, you're taking out loads to do
Only
that?
when it's super hot in the summer. There are a couple days where we are reaching the maximum. So we're not short on water, but the problem is if let's say there would be a massive fire on the 4th of July, then we would have a massive amount of need for water, and there are 8,000 people here in the village, then those days we would be strained to keep up with it. That's why we're doing that. So there's no problem as far as water is concerned. So I know there's a lot of talk about that, saying developers are saying, we don't want to come to Williams Bay, we don't want to build affordable houses, we don't want to do this because you don't have the water. We have plenty of water on the ground. It's the capacity that needs to increase.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, yes.
I'm Dennis Karbowski from 5531 Amos Road in Elkhorn. I'm also County Board Supervisor representing District 8, which is City of Delavan, Town of Delavan, and the Village of Sugar Creek. I've just been allowed to be on a working task force for housing. And we're looking beyond 24. And I welcome any of you to have it to, once we get our first meeting, we can kind of tell you people what we're going to do and when we're going to meet. We do not have that date yet. We're waiting to elect one more individual or and get them on. Sheila also is on that task force with us. It's all new to us. We've been working pretty hard trying to get affordable housing, but I will tell you, I was opposed to one of the propositions that was presented to us last year. They wanted to buy a house in Sharon and they wanted to buy a place in Elkhorn. And it was going to cost $1.4 million. We had $1 million set aside for it. I questioned that. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
I hope, okay. I questioned the additional money, but the first question I asked was, are they ready to move in? And they said, there's already people living in these houses. And I said, oh, that's good. I said, the next question I asked was, are you gonna replace those people? And they said, no, we're just gonna lower their rent. And I said, no, we don't need to become, we don't need to enable more people to be on our welfare system. So that I'm truly opposed to. I want affordable housing. We need affordable housing. At this present time, the average down payment on a home is $98,000. I don't know if you guys know that or not. So we are gonna work on it. We've got some pretty bright people that are on this committee. So I think our first meeting is gonna be sometime in April, but I don't know that for sure. And we'll get back to you as soon as we do it. Would like as much input as possible because it's all of us that are really suffering for not having it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Killian.
Killian, 91 Potawatomi, Williams Bay. In my opinion, the village has a perfect location already in existence for affordable housing. It's the former elementary school site. It is zoned for residential. They're all small lots. The biggest challenge is getting the current property owner to get off their hands. And you got the extra added challenge of demolishing the school. I mean, those are added costs to whatever number of houses you can put there. But that is our best opportunity in this village.
So Jim, can I speak? The owner of the elementary school has given notice that he's gonna start with Dave. But he hasn't been here yet. So we're waiting and we're hoping that something will come out.
Thank you.
Susie?
Susie Arnold, 361 Forest. The other side of that is obviously affordable housing is critical, and having workers to support this community at all levels is critical. The component or the facilitator of these things is transportation. And this has always been a problem. I grew up in Lake Geneva. If you don't drive, you can't get to work in most cases. And for a lot of people, so if we look at that, we're like, okay, let's add more people without public transportation of some sort, adding more cars. So now we need more roads and we're adding to this. So the transportation is kind of, I think you'd call that the linchpin of this growth, to have some sort of public transportation, and not just for, workers and people who, may not want a Tesla or can't get a Tesla, but for a lot of people who might prefer to take public transportation in a lot of instances instead of taking their car out. So I don't know if, we're thinking along that way, but that's, I guess, the question.
Okay, thank you. Are you thinking along that way? Is that your
Is
question?
anybody thinking about public transportation in the county,
Okay,
in the village?
we have it now. Yes.
So we've been doing a lot of work on that. We purchased a lot of cars. We have hired drivers. The Walco County Rideshare Program is really pretty good. It has some things that are challenging about it when I have a developmentally delayed son, so there are some things that make it a little bit difficult. I brought that up, but nevertheless, he's been taking those van rides to get to Conference Point from town of Geneva on the north side of Lake Como. And we found that we have to schedule them a couple weeks in advance, and you have to set up your rides each month. You can't just say, okay, I need a ride every day. But I guess they want to make sure you're going to keep using it. And if you stand like twice within a certain time period, then you can't take it again. They're really not very expensive. If you're staying within the community, it's like $5 a ride. It's cheaper than owning a car, honestly. So I believe we've come a long way with that. Again, it's not perfect, but they're getting better, and it is available. But I don't think a lot of people know about it. So it's just Walworth County Rideshare.
Well, that's pretty restrictive, it sounds like. And I was thinking more of like in Chicago, in the suburbs in Chicago, they have PACE buses. So they're little vans, they're smaller, they have a regular route, a regular schedule, and they wouldn't be like having buses in Walworth County. But there's some things that probably could be done to take that about 4 steps ahead.
Yeah, I think if we don't have to have as much, supposedly you can schedule a ride from one day to the next. I just haven't found that, but maybe other people can. I don't know.
Okay.
Susie Pagel, 91 Potawatomi. Wondering if Skip has any response to this topic.
The transportation topic. Demand outstrips supply at the current time, and it's one of these problems. If we had more money, if there was more money available, I think the service could be expanded. And there are obstacles that you were talking about. There are obstacles to getting rides. You have to do it in advance, that kind of thing. See, it's a little, and to answer Susie's question a little bit more, the geography of Walworth County makes it hard too, because of these big spaces between towns. And if you go from one town to another, the costs go up. So it's not amenable to a PACE bus.
Agreed. However, if we're going to be putting in,
Excuse me. If this is going to be a question, that's fine, but this is not to be a debate or to be, I think it sounds like you're ready to run for office now. And,
no, I do have a question, and I think
Okay.
Can I ask the question?
You may ask the question.
The original question is, if we're adding houses, affordable housing, whatever, is in the plan to create the roadways to support that, because that becomes a transportation issue. That's really the question. Not, just are we thinking about that? Because you can't have growth here without supporting it. So I guess that's a question.
Very much it is. Every potential development has to come forward with a plan for streets, highways, sidewalks, pathways, whatever the case may be, to accommodate the new development. So absolutely, it's part of the plan.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? If not, I would say that we can adjourn without a motion. Just make that decision. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
for
great.
coming.
Before,
Thank you to Civic League. Thank you to all the candidates. And it's just wonderful to be able to have these discussions. So have some coffee with some of your electeds. Call them up, invite them to meet with you if you have these, questions relating some kind of response, or you just want to be in the loop. That's why we elect them. We elect them so that they're accessible, that we can either come to meetings, schedule meetings, and do that part. That alone is such a wonderful part of citizenship, especially here in this area where we live. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Civic League.
Well, wait, thank Ruth Ann Marava for helping organize this, and Roberta, thank you very much for your large part. I hope Alice is smiling down on this, and which is Ruth Ann's mother-in-law that just passed away, that I have been thinking so much of her as we've been organizing and putting everything together. Thanks for all your good questions. All the people that serve here, it's way more time, I realize, than meets the eye, but it's a huge service to the community. And thank you guys for coming with your good questions.
And thank you, Susie, for timing.
Yes, and very, not least, but we want to thank the library ladies and that are such.
The director and assistant director.
Yeah.
Barrett Memorial Library.
So I want to,
Emily Sanders.
but I want you, wait, folks, I want you all to know, now, this will be, you can go to the Barrett Memorial Library website tomorrow. Is that correct?
We'll put it up on the website is how to get to it, but if you already know where the Barrett Library YouTube channel is, or just go to YouTube and look for Barrett Memorial Library, you will find our YouTube channel and it will be ready for you to watch again.
Okay.
This was live streamed on Facebook, so that will also be staying on Facebook. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. If you have neighbors that weren't able to come, they can access it then through the website or the YouTube channel.